Hello, everyone, and welcome back once more. Now the wheel has turned onwards again. I can't believe it's come so quickly.
I know.
Um, so here I am with Jeremy once more to share our next festival, which is called the Festival of Promise or the Spring Equinox, which some also call the Vernal Equinox. And what's this all about? Well, it's about balance.
Yeah.
Equinoxes are about balance. It's we see the equalization of day and night sort of coming up. And then we move, oh, thank the Lord, we move into the warmer months. We move into yeah, longer days, shorter nights and things like that. So there's and the life force in the land is coming up. It's really beginning to move and shift. I mean, here in Britain, we've got all of the spring flowers just coming out, the daffodils, the bluebells, things like that. So very beautiful, and buds beginning to form on trees and things like that. So life is coming back to the land, and I would hope that life is coming back to us as well after our long winter hibernation. So on that note, Jeremy, do you want to pick up and talk to us about what you see and feel about the equinox?
Of all of the solar festivals, this is the easiest sell. This
Yes, it is.
one. Because it really, you talked about balance, and it is about balance in all things. Yes, it's about balance in night and day, but it's also about balancing ourselves as well and bringing balance in. And when that 6 to 6, six rise, six set comes in, and people can really feel the notice how light changes, that things really begin to feel different for people, which is why this is the easiest sell. Because
Mm,
when you talk about the spring equinox, everybody's like, oh yes, I really can't wait for that one to come, because
yeah.
everybody gets an anticipation that suddenly things are starting, things are moving. And
Mm,
despite the fact that spring's been with us since our last chat,
mm.
for many and for all of us in general, it truly feels that it gathers momentum at this point.
We're
When
beginning to see very visible signs of it, aren't we?
absolutely, and nature's responding, it's gathering pace. As you said, the things that you're seeing are really coming together, but also all the things that we know, like the trees, you can feel that their leaves are beginning to either burst or just be full. And so as you're looking at nature around you, you can really begin to see what's going on and begin to see the shift and the change. We look for those first signs at the beginnings of spring, 6 weeks ago, when we're looking for the first flowers coming out, the
Mm.
first colour. But now we're beginning to see all of that coming in fuller force.
Yeah.
And we need to raise our awareness to meet all of that as well, and to be seeing those changes around us. Part of this festival is very much about awareness and bringing your awareness back, not so much into that inner state that we've been doing, because this marks the point where we completely come out of that inner work, and
Yeah.
embrace our outer work.
Yeah.
So you have to shift your awareness.
Mm.
If we spend all our time constantly digging and constantly looking inwards, we will miss the opportunities that literally present themselves
Yeah.
to us, because we're looking in the wrong direction. So
Yeah.
that awareness becomes really, really important.
That's
And
a
what
very,
we're
very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important that we shift that
Got to
awareness.
shift our focus. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially because, we've been working on the culmination, things coming together from the inner work, but we have to also work on that idea of letting that go now and changing that focus. And that's part of what the Festival of Promise or Stara, whatever the equinox, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
is really about, because it clearly marks that point where we have to let go of all of our inner work for the year and shift our focus.
Yeah. And trust we've
Give away.
planted the right seeds.
Absolutely.
And it's now time to begin to nurture and grow those seeds.
Which is where our promise comes in.
Yeah, yeah,
Because before this, we were sort of much more higher level thinking about what we were doing. We were making our dedication at the last one. What do we want from this year?
mm,
Now, and then the second thing for this festival is this idea of promise. And it's really important that we look about what promises will we make to ourselves that we will not break. Will you be
yeah.
good for your word?
Yeah, and also, what is the promise? What is the gift that lies within the work that you've been doing over the last few months, the seeds that you've been planting? It's that bursting into bloom of the potential of something.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And we therefore need to put these sort of ideas of promises and all this sort of stuff together and out there so that the universe can respond. If we are not clear and we don't state our intentions fully, then how can we expect to be met for what we've actually set in?
Yeah.
And it's not always the easiest one, but the promises that you set yourself now will reap you the benefits going through the
This,
summer and the autumn.
yeah, this is what you'll harvest later on, as it were. Mm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And come back. I seem to be having this conversation quite a lot with various people at the moment, but it's around the power of intention, really. I mean, we need to be, as you've just said, we need to be clear about what it is we're asking for. We need to be clear about the intentions we set. And when we have that clarity, we can put the full power of the focus of our intention and our will behind that. And it's and begin to see and visualize the results of that. And that really is the full power of manifestation. We are potentially very powerful manifestors, but we're not terribly good at harnessing the forces that go into manifestation because it requires focus, it requires clarity, it requires desire, and we need to bring the sort of sensory feeling aspect of ourselves into it. What does it feel like? What does it taste like? What does it, how does it move through our body? Bringing this into manifestation, and most of us are too lazy. It's kind of like you use the words, I want a new car, but you won't put the energy into all of the manifestation process of making that happen. So yeah, this
It's,
is,
cool.
yeah, I was
This
going to
is
say,
that time of year.
yeah, this is the time that we really have to. And again, we were talking just before we started to record. I mean, it's been the end of a long winter, and for this particular year, 2025, last year in Britain, we had the most appalling summer, most appalling summer. So it doesn't feel like we've had a summer going into an autumn, then a winter. It feels like there's been just an extension of the previous year's winter, kind of like dragging on and on and on. So it's been a very long time since we've had a lot of warmth and all of the sort of uplifting that brings with it. So we are tired. Our bodies are tired. Winter is stressful. It's hard on the body. Everything becomes more stagnant within us, and then we move into this growth process, and it's kind of like knock knock, wake up.
Get on with it. Well,
And the body is often saying, oh, go away, leave me alone. Let me just lie here. I've got nothing left in the tank to give you. So yeah, at the time we really most want to begin to put our foot on the accelerator, there's often nothing there. We've kind of used it all up. So we need to be aware of that, and we need to be careful of ourselves, and we do need to treat ourselves gently and nurture ourselves and feed ourselves properly and sleep properly, and in order to make the most of this time.
yeah, absolutely. Because this is the beginning of that. We're not
Yeah.
asked to be at full pelt quite yet
Yeah.
at all. But we make those statements, we make those promises, we change our awareness so that and all of that is doable now to do to set ourselves up properly.
Yeah.
because things will be, opportunities will be coming to us as this
Yeah.
spring develops. We will have things coming towards us. And
Yeah.
so the other thing that this festival really marks as well is to increase our levels of discernment,
Yeah. Mm.
because often when opportunities come, particularly around the way the earth and the world is at the moment, we think we have to gather and take all of them.
Yeah.
They all have to be for me. I must take all of them just in case.
Yeah.
If I don't, what happens?
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to engage our discernment to know, are they right for where we're going or what we're wanting to do? We need to make sure that when we put energy behind it, we will get something back from that, and it will lead us into what we want to do, rather than just taking everything and then either not being able to give, or having to pick things that actually end up not serving us, or maybe serving others, but we don't get anything back from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really recommend that this March, this festival, though, all this time, when we've changed our awareness and we begin to see potentials and
Mm.
opportunities, that we do bring a level of discernment to them about what it is. Because as you said, we have limited resources that
Mm.
we put behind things.
Yeah.
And putting that resource behind something that will take a lot out of us
Mm.
needs to know that actually this is what we need, where we're going,
Yeah.
and will give us back.
Yeah. I mean, life always dangles all sorts of bright, shiny things in front of us. There's all opportunities and things that look interesting, but it is sort of going into the heart, and asking yourself, is this really what I want? Is this really what I need? Is this what makes my soul sing? Is this where my soul's energy wants to take me? And often, interesting as something may be, it's well, no, not really. But
Yeah.
this one here, on the other hand, and yes, relatively scarce resources can go in that direction, and great things then happen. And it's, I'll be frank, Jeremy, it's taken me quite a long time to work that one out.
But
Because I in particular, I love information. So dangle workshops and all sorts of things like this in front of me. And I'm, oh yes, please, But I scatter my resources then.
yeah.
I've done this in the past. And yes, it's been interesting. And yes, I've got all sorts of knowledge and things like that. But it really wasn't quite the direction my soul wanted me to go in. Yeah, so yeah, there's a big learning in that. And another thing about this time of year is it also feels like it's our last real opportunity to let go of the things that haven't served us, or to let go of the things that we've been hanging on to. I mean, we have the whole tradition of kind of spring cleaning and doing a detox on our bodies, which is really, really helpful, and things like that. But again, in some respects, that's just a physical reminder of what we also need to do at an energetic level, which is to leave behind us the energies that are not going to help us forwards, that act as a brake to us or a drag anchor on us.
Yes, and not all of those are recognizing negative patterns we've always had or whatever it is. Sometimes there are things that have been really useful to us, but
Yeah.
actually where we are now, they no longer are. So it's about not just assuming that what we've had and how the way we've worked before is now going to be something that we should take forward.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, we're always looking at what negative patterns am I doing, what isn't helpful, and making sure we shed and release those. But just check in with the other ones as well about the things you do. Are they still relevant for
Yeah.
how I'm moving and where I'm going next?
Mm.
And maybe they need a tweak, maybe they need to change, maybe they're a complete release.
Mm.
Actually, that was a really good before, but I just don't need that anymore.
No, I've done that. That's a cycle. Everything runs in cycles. They can be big cycles, little cycles, so on. And it can be that you've come to the end of a cycle on something and it's served you very, very well. But it isn't something to take forward into the future. And I mean, it's quite a skill recognizing that, because we tend to hang on to things, and just be creatures of habit at many levels. And it, you know, it can be something you're doing, it can be a place you're at, it can be something you're studying, it can be a relationship. I mean, it comes in so many shapes and forms. But as you say, again, we come back to discernment and just checking in. Is this still right? Is this still what I need to do? Is this, just keep checking in, and you check in through your heart, you check in through your soul.
Because this is, we're bringing ourselves back to where we pretty much began, this idea of culmination,
Mm,
because things will begin to culminate or will culminate by the end of this time, because we are coming out of that space of doing inner work,
yeah,
letting it go.
yeah,
And so all of those things we've just been talking about looking at what we should be releasing, look at what no longer supports us, that's all part of that idea of things culminating before we start this mid-spring point, which is, it's a weird sense because even though for where I work, it's not the beginning of the year, for many people that I talk to, this point feels like a beginning of something for
yeah.
people, either awakening or feeling more alive. And in truth, it is, because obviously, when you come out of doing all that inner work, you are beginning a new relationship with all of the outer work, with getting yourself outside, getting yourself involved, spreading yourself outwards rather than reflecting inwards. So
Mm,
it's about starting off. And the key thing that I've been getting for this year is this phrase about begin again,
mm,
begin again. So I've been really looking, and I will take this through to the Solar Festival point about, well, where do I need to begin again? How do I bring that awareness to the term begin again? Where have I got tired of something, or where have I not been feeling the passion or the drive
mm,
behind it?
mm.
Now, some of that might just be because of the winter, but I need to begin again. That's such a strong thing for this year.
Yeah,
I've not had that at this time of year in the same way that I'm having it this year, particularly.
yeah. Well, can I mean, just put my perception, give you my perception on that, because I think what you've said there is very important, because we are beginning again in a very real sense, in that the earth has shifted her frequency fields and has firmly anchored herself into different frequency fields. And from a cosmic multidimensional point of view, we have moved to a new address, and we finally anchored in, we finally moved the last of our furniture in, as it were, the latter part of last year. So we are, in a very real sense, beginning again. We're beginning in new frequency fields. We have moved from what's called the ego personality level of our consciousness into the soul levels of our consciousness. It requires just a different approach at every single level, because we've moved up a notch. Everything's moved up a notch. And therefore, yeah, begin again. Look at everything, as you were saying at the beginning. Discernment. Is this where we need to be? Is this the right frequency to match where we've moved to? And we're all still kind of like a bit discombobulated about it all, and my God, what's going on? And it's chaos out there. Let's be frank, it's chaos out there, because so many people are just so resistant to it, and not really moving with the flow of the energies that we're now within. But just because they're doing that doesn't mean to say we have to. So
Yeah.
let's lead the way, folks.
And I think if you take anything away from what we're talking about today, about what this festival means, it is the time to begin again.
Yeah,
To give that to yourself,
yeah,
to allow yourself to really think, where do I feel I need to begin again?
yeah. And how can I really take everything, all of the inner work I've been doing, the plans I've been laying, the things I want to nurture through this year. How can I take them to a higher level?
Hmm.
a
Yeah.
higher iteration. Let me dream a bit bigger, dare to dream a bit bigger and a bit better, and 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 not keep sticking to the everyday ruts that we've been in. As a society, we've been in for a very, very long time. Let's think about, really what comes next. What does a new earth look like? And it doesn't look like, existing banking systems and education systems and political systems, and it doesn't look like that. So at a more societal level, we can think bigger,
Mm.
and uh, lay the seeds, as you say, to begin again. It's a long process ahead of us, but yeah,
It
the
is.
energies support it.
The energies will support it, and also we're just doing a year at a time, so
Yeah,
we can begin again in ourselves. We can
yeah,
put the energy out there,
yeah,
and that's how I'll be taking myself through
yeah.
to.
Yes, and it's a very good point. I would suggest that it does start with us. Each of us has to make that move within ourselves before we can make the move within the collective, because we all feed into the collective. And if we haven't done that ourselves, we can't take others with us. So, yeah.
No. So it is, I mean, it is a lovely, lovely time of the year, and it's a lovely time because we feel like we're emerging.
Mm,
We
mm,
feel like it's nicer to be outside. I mean, over the last weekend, we've had some decent weather for this time of year, and you can just see it. You can be out and about in it, and there are just people out. There are people
mm.
being emerging and making full use of it all. And so there is that energy of wanting to be out and
Yeah,
wanting to take part and being out in nature and being out again. So it is also about engaging with nature in the best ways that you can do it as well.
yeah.
Really.
It is, in a very real sense, it is a doorway. We step through a doorway at this time of year into an external version of ourselves. We come out of hibernation. We spend a lot more time outside in nature. We're a lot, or I certainly know that I go from being quite a hermit in some respects to wanting to be more social, wanting to be more gregarious. So it's a doorway into the outer world in some ways, and come the autumn we'll withdraw once more, but it does split the year into two halves, doesn't it? The outer half and the inner half. Yeah. Yeah. So everybody enjoy getting out there and making the most of it. Anything else you would like to add?
Yes, I have to raise one word, which is boundaries.
Ooh. Ooh.
This time of year is the most opportune time to reflect on your boundaries.
Yeah. Mm,
Because everything we've been talking about how we want to make the best use out of the year, what we want to work in, all of that is only possible, yes, with discernment, but also if we have the right boundaries for us in place.
yes. Mm,
And now is a really good time before we get into all of that to
mm,
really think about what does that term mean for you? How does it make you feel when somebody, when we're talking about this idea of boundaries? And then to reflect on where you have them. Are they right? Do
mm,
I need to adjust them? Do I need any new ones? Or do I need to let some go? We talked about release earlier. This is a follow up, another level of that. But
mm,
it's really important that for once in a year, that we gift ourselves a moment just to really reflect on that idea of boundaries.
yeah.
We need them in place, we need the correct ones in place, and we need to know where they are so that
Yeah.
when they're tested, that we can hold strong in what is our boundary or not if it suits and it's right for us in that moment. But
Yeah.
without knowing it, we
Yeah.
can't make those choices.
Otherwise, we come back to that dissipation of relatively scarce resources. We all have a finite amount of energy. We all have a finite amount of time and enthusiasm and motivation. And more than ever now, it needs to be used wisely.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, again, asking people just to spend some time and reflect on what your boundaries are and any changes you need to make as well. But that's, in this run up to this festival or just after this festival, you've got all this time to be able to look at doing that and marking that point, that beginning point, that gateway point in this very moment. And I often look to do that through, there's a beautiful meditation that you can do around this sort of time where you sit in your sacred space, you imagine yourself sitting in that sacred space, and then you see three arches behind you, and then you see three arches in front of you.
Mm.
And behind you, this three streams of golden light come to you, and that is everything you're bringing in from all the work that you've done behind you, entering your body, visibly seeing yourself filling up with those golden streams of light coming through those arches. And then when that feels like it is really settled in, then you see three white streams of light going out from the front of you into the distance, beyond where you can see an ending, just through the horizon beyond. Just see yourself sitting in that point of balance where you've got the gold from the past, you've got the white taking you forward, and hold yourself in that. So that has that idea of balance. It also has that idea of culmination, because as we begin to end that meditation, you just see the golden streams disappear. And then allow yourself to leave those streams of white light heading out into the distance, because that is now your focus.
Yeah, let them guide you into the future.
And ask if there's any insights or anything you need from that. But it's that extending that out to a horizon beyond what you can see, and then just obviously letting all of that disappear before you come back. But it's a beautiful one to work with in terms of balance, in terms of culmination. And I've also used it to help raise my awareness for what might be coming, because of those streams of light heading out from me, heading out into the future.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Very beautiful. Well, thank you, Jeremy, once again. We shall be back in 6 weeks' time.
Well then, my God, a bell tone for the vow.
Bell tone, oh yeah. The fire festival to end all fire festivals. So yes, we shall come back and share our thoughts and insights on that one in 6 weeks' time. But in the meantime, it's, as Jeremy says, it's a lovely time of year. Enjoy. So thank you to Jeremy, and thank you to all of you. And if you enjoy these talks, please, like them, subscribe, all the rest of the, guff that goes along with these videos. And yeah, we'll see you next time round. Bye.